You are full of compassion, you are full of love, and a complete conscious level that is of an amazing nature. Bhagwan used to always say that knowledge must be skilled. But that's not enough. When knowledge is skilled, there must be poise, there must be balance. Because when knowledge is skilled with balance, then comes the beautiful factor of insight, and that insight becomes resplendent in your character, in your nature.
Like the clear waters of the Mother Ganga, flowing through hilly tracts of the Himalayas, undisturbed and unperturbed by her surroundings, meandering to her destination, the mighty ocean, have the great pleasure of bringing forth this leader of leaders who too wades through the concrete jungle of life, steadfast as a sthit prajna, undisturbed and unperturbed, to reach that inherent divinity, that is, our divine Sathya Sai. You listen to him, ye dil mange more. You work with him, ye dimag kahega, kya baat, kya baat, kya baat. With that aura of duty in him, filled with dedication and devotion. Be it for a child or an elderly, he is the most approachable, for he is a Bhai for one and all, eloquent in his profession, which puts many to shame. When he rises up to speak, be it in a courtroom or in a gathering, filled with exuberance and gaiety, one is lost in his words, a true personification of simplicity and honesty. His opponents fear him when he is on a warpath, reminds one and all of the Maratha king on his horseback, yet humble and witty to the amusement of one and all. A leader of India in the path of spirituality and seva, the divinely guided, the approachable leader. Lakhs of volunteers tote him with love and gratitude. Be it north or south, east or west, they can vouch that he is the best, for giving them all an opportunity to lead their lives in the path of Sai. He ignites sparks of love with the divinely scripted life, produced and directed by the Eternal One. Please put your hands together for the divinely guided, the approachable leader, Shri Nimish Gulabrai Pandya, alias Nimish Bhai, our All India President, Shri Sathya Sai Seva Organization, presenting this episode to all of you. Heart to heart with AIP, Shri Nimish Bhai, the man who leads India.
Offering my most humble salutations at the divine lotus feet of Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. I am deeply conscious of the fact that Bhagwan is with us today, residing over this satsang and watching each one of us and ensuring that we fulfill his divine will and be a part of the drama that he has created for all of us. I'm extremely grateful to the organizers for such a introduction. It's made me emotional, made me go back in point of time. And I didn't realize that so much time has gone by with so many young people that I've had the privilege to meet over the last 4 decades. My wife and I have been very lucky to have been constantly in touch with young children and young people like you. And that's what's made life the transformation journey that I have, along with my wife, been a part of at the Divine Lotus feet. When I look back in my life today and the beautiful things that have happened in the Satsang of the Divine Master himself, hair stands on hand, and in gratitude to Bhagwan, because one wonders whether you really deserve all the grace that has befallen upon you or not. But as Bhagavan used to always say that all of us have a defined role to perform on this stage of life, which is like a drama. And therefore, probably, my interest in drama was there right since my younger days. Because that's where that was the platform on which I had to learn my spirituality and my journey in the Divine Lotus feet, which is still ongoing. This particular course that we have started is for all you young men and women. And I can see 383 right now on the call. I must say that all of you are very, very lucky people. Very, very blessed, because out of the millions and millions of young men and women, you have the opportunity of at least delving deep and diving into the ocean of spiritual content and spiritual matter, diving deep into the world of human values, and the opportunity to understand what a beautiful thing the human birth is. With all its frailties, its desires, its shadripus as they call, but everything put together, it's a lovely package, a lovely opportunity that the Creator has given us in the form of human life. I do believe it is the most precious thing. It's a lovely opportunity that comes after many, many births, many, many millennia of existence in different forms. Because this is the opportunity when you can see inside. This is the opportunity when you can feel the power inside. And this is the opportunity that can break you away from these shackles of birth and death and give you an opportunity to consider how to merge with the divine. Omkaram bindu sanyuktam nityam dhayanti yogika kamadam mokshadam chaiva omkaraya namo namah. To this Omkara, this is the opportunity of human birth, when this bindu can merge with the divine ocean. And you will see that life, at the end of all the experiences that you go through, it is a human being who has a yearning to understand that how frail and how fragile this whole life is. And how in 1 second you can close your eyes and be not there at all. And nothing that you see and feel and experience matters anymore in a split second. So what is that split second on the other side? Is the opportunity to understand and experience only in the human birth. Yes, life will go on. You are young, you'll grow up, start families, make money, fulfill desires, yearn, go there. But still there will be that yearning that comes inside. And the sooner you understand that yearning, the sooner you experience that yearning in life, the better is the quality of life as we go further. Better is the joy. People say, I want to be happy, I want to be joyous, I want to be blissful. This want to be is the wrong word, brothers and sisters. You're already blissful, you're already joyous, you're already happy. It is not something which is to be acquired. It is something that has to be sustained. It is something that you must ensure that in your life, you don't lose it. I have realized that now when I look back in life, that there is nothing, you are born to be happy, you are born to be joyous, you are born to be at peace. It's our natural self. It is we who lose this on the way of journey of life. And therefore, as the students of the National Leadership Program, where self-transformation, self-mastery is the goal. You should realize there are many, many leadership programs that tell you how to conquer the world, that tells you how to become a master of men. I remember in our earlier Bal Vikas course in AIP course, there used to be a story that one of my colleagues used to say, that once there was a scientist who wanted to impress upon the whole world what science had done for mankind. So he used to go, Maxim Gorky was his name, and he used to go around and talk to the whole world, go to village after village telling people that science has taught man how to fly like a bird in the sky. Science has taught men how to swim like a fish in water. And this and that and everything used to go. And then he ultimately was in some village in Russia. When in a village, when he was talking like this, one old man got up and told him that, sir, I disagree with you. Science is not the only thing. Science may have taught man how to fly like a bird in the sky or swim like a fish in the water. But unfortunately, science has not taught man how to live like a man on earth itself. This key is a gift of Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. This key is the grace of Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. This knowledge is the will of Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. Dear brothers and sisters, it is this knowledge of Swami that you are profusely getting in this entire NLP course. Putting that to practice and ensuring self-transformation is the greatest assignment of this program according to me. Because if this knowledge is not skilled with a balanced mind and a poise, that insight which is to come from within, as Swami has said, as you heard in the clipping, it's impressed me very much in my life. That knowledge is important, therefore studies are important. Skill is important because if you don't put that knowledge into practice, it won't help. Like Swami says, the knowledge of love, the knowledge of human values, the knowledge of peace has to be put into practice of seva. If that love, that spiritual knowledge is not transmuted into seva, that balance will not come between knowledge and skill. And when you get that balance, you will realize that automatically from within, the fountain of love, the fountain of spirit, the fountain of pleasure, the fountain of competence, the fountain of knowledge, everything springs from within. Everything is inside, not outside. I learned with Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba this core base, that whatever you want to achieve in life is not outside, it's within. And if you touch the power of God within yourself, then everything outside becomes yours automatically. That's the first thing, the key to living life, and especially young people. The second thing that came to me was that trusting God is a very difficult thing to do. People say, I have faith, I love Swami, I did this, but very few people pass the test. To plunge and trust God is a very big thing. It is a combination of effort that comes with prayer, grace, effort, practice, that one day He grants you that faith. And when He grants you that faith, nobody can beat you in life and nobody can trouble you in life, is the guarantee of the Master. This is the insurance that you pay for, and the payment is by way of practice. This is the insurance cover that God gives you, but the premium that you pay is practice. And therefore, as young men and women, I would share with you that in my life, my journey is still on. There are many, many more right ahead of me. It's just that I have the role right now of the All India President. But I am as good as a sadhak as each one of you. I am as good on the path of learning as each one of you. The only difference is that probably now you have more time than I have. And therefore I need to hasten my practice. But I need to tell you that you are in the right time at the right place. And if you are there at the right time at the right place, don't waste time. Because as young men and women, time is important. If you waste time, Swami's adage, the time waste is life waste, you will repent when you come to my age. And I don't want you to do that. Because you have this opportunity. Therefore, be aware of the time. Every second is precious. The pandemic has shown us that suddenly you are there today, tomorrow you are not there. In fact, my name is Nimish, and Swami used to always be very amazed and amused at my name, because Nimish in Sanskrit means 1 second. And Swami used to say, "Ye kaisa naam hai? Nimish, abhi hai, abhi nahi." And that was the great lesson that I learned. Boss, abhi hai, abhi nahi. Therefore, every abhi has to be used very well. Every abhi, every moment has to be used with great skill, enjoyment, and full vigor. And when you want to do this, there is no place for complacency, there is no place for depression, there is no place for sorrow, there is no place for despondency. Because these are all enemies of that happy abhi, that happy present. The enemies are all laid down. Procrastination, laziness, dependency, despondency, sadness, jealousy, greed, all these are dangers to that happy abhi. Let me share with you some examples of my life. I think that's the right time to, because personal experiences that taught me, I'm sure will be very valuable to you also in your life, because I was also as young as you are. And the best part of youth is that it's a feeling, it's an awareness, and that awareness has to be done. And I tell you, that awareness of youth, that feeling of youth, if you sustain it right from now, even at 67, like my age, you will still feel young. But if you don't invest right now, then that investment will not bear fruit when you become 67, 68. Youth, I always say, is a time to invest, not a time to waste. It is not a time to spend. Unlike many people believe that youth is, let's enjoy, let's spend, let's be great, let's dream. Yes, but it is a time to invest. Invest at all three levels of your personality. Invest in your health, invest in your mental health, invest in your spiritual health. If you are wise and proud, brothers and sisters, if you have the grace of God and the blessings of your parents, and if you have the willpower, do this investment exercise at all three levels right now. Invest in your health, invest in your knowledge, invest in your mind, invest in your spirit. We'll come to that. And this is something which we learned at Bhagwan's Divine Lotus Feet, and the entire Sathya Sai Seva Organization, or the world of Sathya Sai, the avatar of Sathya Sai, is a message, is a brochure of investment in body, mind and spirit. That's what I really want you to do. As a young man, I was born in a very poor family. We used to live in a very small chawl somewhere. But that poverty never bothered me. I was always a very happy person. I remember my mother also saying that when I was born, I was very roly-poly. I was like a bundle of balls put together. And anybody could take me, and I would never yearn or cry for anybody. Anybody could pick me up and go wherever they want. And I was quite comfortable. In fact, I remember my first flight when I was at the age of 6 or 7. I went alone from Bombay to my hometown of Bhavnagar. And my mother cried because when she left me, I had two friends with me, two small tiny tots. We held hands and boarded the flight, and I didn't even look back to say bye to my mother. And she was very upset. She still remembers even now, after so many years, that you were so dispassionate. Probably that was the spirit with which God granted me my birth, and I lived on to that situation. But life has a problem. Life always had issues. I mean, as you grow, the desires, the 5 senses of yours create a world around yourself, and those senses then create a web of action, reaction situations, and to grow up and grow further from school to college. In school, I was a very bright student. There was never a problem. But I was also very interested in the Scout movement, and therefore I used to be in the forefront in all the Scout activities, where I learned a lot. And I remember one of my earliest memories of the Scout is a beautiful song that we used to sing in the campfires, which actually now when I look back is such a great spiritual truth that abhi hai abhi nahi. And therefore the song in the Scout in the campfire used to go something like this. I'm not a good singer, but I just say a few words. If you say, softly falls the light of day as the campfire fades away. Silently each scout should ask, have I done my daily task? Have I done and have I dared everything to be prepared? Be prepared was the motto of the Scouts. Many of you must be knowing. Be prepared was the motto of Scouts. How much that God, my Sai, my Swami, whom I didn't know that time, was already looking after me at that point of time. And that's the point I want to make first to all my young men. Whether you knew Swami or when you knew Swami is not important. This power, this divinity of Swami is always with us. Whether we know him or we don't know him, it is that power that looks after us all the time. It is that power that is the source, the cause of our survival. Because Swami used to always say that I'm not this form, I'm not this body, I'm not this photograph. I'm not Sai Baba. Sai Baba is not this body. You and I are one. Therefore, all the students of the National Leadership Programs at Sai must have this first goal, that I want to know my Sai within myself. I want to touch base with the power within myself. And that's where, from my younger days, when I led to Scout, I came to college. And that's where I was at the same age probably as what you all are. Many of you may be better positioned than me in terms of your personality. I got lost in college, and like a young man, I was quite distracted by a lovely college in Mumbai called the St. Xavier's College, which was very, very active in co-curricular activities. And then at that point of time, this Nimish Pandya, who was very strictly living his childhood and school, suddenly burst into a world of friends and world of glamour and the Mumbai glamour. And I wanted to become an actor. Can you read it? I didn't have the face, nor the handsome look, nor the body, but I was dreaming to be the actor, and I wanted to join the Film and Television Institute. So all the dreams of my father wanting me to become a lawyer, or my father wanting me to become a doctor, were all in the dumps, because here I was on the stage all the time. And so many friends I made. For me, friends were my life. I used to have more than 100, 200 friends in my group, in my kitty, as they say. Both young boys, young girls, all of them are part of my entire. And we were a very happy group. We all wished to be a part of drama and song and music and all that. So imagine, I was like a very happy person in ignorance. It's like that famous story of Lord Indra and Narada. When Lord Indra took birth as a pig on earth, he became so involved in this big world that he married, and he had a big wife and piglets and everything, and he was like completely a part of that big world, and he would refuse to go back. Imagine Indra refusing to go back to Vaikuntha, and Narad had to come down. Okay, what's wrong with Lord Indra? He's so happy in this world of pigs that he's living in. And Lord Narada had to come down and say, my Lord Indraji, get out, you are not a pig, you are the Lord, please get out of it. And that realization had to be brought, and as the story in the Puranas goes, Indra then realized that he can't be languishing in the world of pigs, he has to go back to higher levels. This is exactly what happened to me. In that entire world of St. Xavier's College for 4-5 years, my studies got ruined because I was distracted. My attitude, my behavior got set because of friends. You know what happens, brothers and sisters? When friends come and peer pressure comes, your mind makes you a slave of all your senses. Because then you are not in command of your actions. It is your friends and peer pressures that make you decide what you want to do. I want to be like my friend. I want to make this friend happy. Therefore, I'll wear the clothes that I like, what he or she likes. I want to make this friend happy, because what will he think if I don't think like him? Or what will they say if I don't behave like them? And I want to meet the expectations of somebody else. This is the problem with youth today. You are not obliged to do anything that somebody else wants to do. You're obliged to do only what you want to do and what your conscience tells you. This is the right path. If you have to tick, conscience has to take command. What is to be crossed is what your mind forces you to do because of external pressures. The 5 senses can be a terrible situation, and added to that, peer pressure can make it worse. Now, how to get out of this is very difficult. If you become a pig, then you're languishing in dirt. You can't do it. Nobody can bring you out. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. In fact, today I was reading a lovely story today in the morning. The story was that a big elephant, a huge elephant, which was like a war elephant. He was the famous of the king. And he used to be the best part of the whole and the elephant of the army of the king. He fought many wars for the king. And he used to be in the front, and the king used to like him very much. One day it happened that the elephant got stuck in a muck somewhere, and his feet started sinking, and the great elephant started sinking inside. And everybody tried to pull it out, but the elephant was too heavy to be pulled out of muck that way. Everybody failed, and the people were worried that what will the king say when he realizes that his best elephant, his pet elephant, is now sinking. The king was thoroughly disturbed and happy. But there was one wise man who realized that this elephant is the king's best elephant. He has fought many wars. He's a leader of all elephants. And what they did, as the story goes, they brought the war drums. And when the war drums started beating, like he was used to in the wars, and when the entire war drums, you believe me, the inner strength of that elephant made him powerful enough to bring his own self out of the muck because of the war drums. And this is what Sathya Sai Baba has done for all of us. He's been playing for 85 years the spiritual war drums for all of us, to wake up out of our slumber, to wake up of our muck in which we are, to pull ourselves out. And this war drum is the message of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. This war drum is the message of the power of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, which all of us are very lucky to have. And like the wise man who decided to beat the war drums, like Narada who came for Vishnu, in our lives, God himself has come to save us from this situation. And Swami came in my life in the year 1974-75. I had ruined my career. I was excellent in drama, but my parents, my father all wanted me to become a lawyer, and I wanted to become a doctor, actor, and this conflict was going on. And Bhagwan came to the rescue. And what he did was, the first interview, he made me realize that dependence of a human being on another person is not the right way to live. He took me for the first interview and lambasted me. Kitna friends hai, kitna dost hai, kitna friends nahi rakho. Friends are good. But choose your friends. Good company is important. You need friends who will help you to realize your own inherent strength, not friends who distract you from the journey inside. Swami mentioned that itna friends acha nahi. Sab chodo. Jeb mein paisa hai to friends. No money, no friends. There is only one friend, and he's God, and he's, but I was still stupid. I was very thrilled when he told me that. Then he told me the next thing. देखो तुम कुछ प्लानिंग नहीं करो, तुम्हारा सब प्लानिंग में किया है. Just watch and unfold, see, enjoy yourself and unfold your life in front of you as I unfold it. But I was too young and rash to understand the import, the great power of these two sentences that Swami was trying to tell. Swami's words were like the war drum for this elephant to come out of muck, to leave his friends. But I could do that. The grace of Bhagwan was that when I came back from that interview, overnight, I had the courage to tell myself, no friends, Bhagwan hai, kuch nahi chahiye. But then also I was making a mistake. I was believing that the physical form is my friend. Therefore, I left all my 100, 200 friends and started my friendship with this form of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. And this form of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba also was a misnomer, was a misunderstanding by me. Because he had said, there's only one friend. And I thought when he's tapping his chest, he means him. But really speaking, he was trying to tell me there's only one friend and he's inside, he was not outside. But it took time for me to understand that situation. And therefore, it's very important, brothers and sisters, that we need to transition our consciousness to the power of God within ourselves. And as usual, I fell a prey to that. And I started becoming very friendly with Bhagwan in his physical form. But one day the next lesson comes that you have to pass that class number 8 and 9 and go to 10, and from 10 to 11 and 12. And that examination came when I was to transition from this great attachment to the human form and move towards the next, that is understanding that this divine form is actually inside and not outside. And that came with Swami used to put people into quarantine, like nowadays COVID puts people in quarantine, but then Swami used to put people, he will not speak to you, you don't exist for him, he's not around. I mean, and he would ensure that he makes you most despondent and most in a bad shape he makes you. But he's still with you. He's still protecting you. And that brings the next stage of transformation. That slowly and steadily, two things happened in my life. One is that I realized that I don't have to depend or play to the gallery of anybody else. I have to play to only one gallery, and that is to Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, and ensure that he is happy with me. I have to do that. And the second thing I have to do is to follow his word and practice that he is not only inside me, but he's in all of us. And therefore our attitude to all of us, our attitude to each other has to be of Swami. What will I do if Swami was, if I realize that Swami is in Chinmay? My reaction, my interaction, my behavior with Chinmay cannot be external. It has to be internal with the belief that inside Chinmay also is Swami. Now this is a tall order for young men and women to take, because sometimes we don't like people, we don't like what they say, we just like that, he's a show off, I don't like him, but I lose my patience when I meet him. All these are not problems with the other person. These are all problems with us and our capacity to expand, our capacity to blossom, and our capacity to convince ourselves that it may appear like that, but after all is Swami. Would I speak to Swami like this? Would I behave like this in Swami's presence? If I can't do that in Swami's presence, I must not do in anybody else's presence. And it is very important for leaders to be approachable. Why I say that? I learned that from Bhagwan Sri Sathya. Imagine an avatar who's been proclaimed to be the most powerful avatar man has ever seen. And see him, always approachable to the commonest person. All his life. Imagine he could be directing people to go to him, but here was an avatar, all powerful. He is walking amongst people. We go to the mandir to have darshan. Have you ever heard that God comes out of the mandir to give you darshan? This is Sathya Sai Baba. And you have to follow him. For me, the simple rule is, don't think. Just do what Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba did. Just practice what Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba said. It's like when you join the army, you just obey the command. That's it, period, finish. Here also, just follow, practice. Don't live in the realm of dreams of, I've read this and I've read this book of Swami and I've read this author and I've read that author. All that is very good. But if you don't practice, it doesn't work. That insight must come. All that we know outside is knowledge. Knowledge to be skilled, balanced with sadhana. And when you balance with sadhana, the innermost recesses, the ultimate knowledge comes. I always give this example, and this is something which Swami used to say, that when Vivekananda was asked, what would you like to study if you were given a chance to study again? You know what he said? He said, if I am given a chance to study again, I would not study history, geography, science, or mathematics. I would study that art by knowing which all knowledge is mine whenever I want it. And what he meant was meditation. Because all truth lies inside. Because Swami is sitting inside. When Swami is sitting inside, he is my prompter. And Swami can never be wrong because he is the epitome of all knowledge. And when he prompts you from inside, and when you do that into action, you are bang right on. In fact, many of you must have been Bal Vikas students, or you've been a part of the EHV programs, and you heard so much about human values from Bhagwan. I had the privilege to be a part of the Bal Vikas program and also the EHV teachers. And the more I went into this study, it all relates to me. If Swami is inside and I am nobody, the voice of conscience is the most important. You have to master the voice of conscience and align yourself to the conscience. I remember in science, there used to be In physics, there used to be an experiment called removing the parallax error. There used to be a convex lens in the center and two needles on either side. So when you look, they look different. But the whole experiment is to see that these two needles through the convex lens become one. And when they become one, you succeed in the experiment. So here also, the difference between the presence of divinity and my physical form, once you align that with spiritual knowledge and practice, you become one with the power within. And that voice of conscience becomes your master. And when the voice of conscience becomes the master and prompts you, what you think, the voice of conscience which reflects on your mind is truth. When this truth is understood and put into words, it is the spoken word. And when put into action, it is dharma. This sequencing of the conscience, thought and action is the trick of life. That's why Swami used to say, no, thought, word and deed one, fantastic. Thought, word and deed not correct, you are a demon. Otherwise you are God. The difference between demon and God is only one. Thought, word and deed flowing from the conscience becoming one. And this is what we need to practice with bravado. Every leader must be a master at putting his conscience into action. And this comes with daily practice. This comes with the consciousness that I want to do this. Because every time there is a conflict in mind, the mind says something and the conscience says something. This alignment of the mind and the conscience is very, very important. I remember when you do this consciously, God fulfills all your desires. When my fight happened with my father, that he wanted me to become a lawyer and I didn't want to become a lawyer, Swami got after my mind. Swami confronted me maybe 10, 15, 20 times to convince me that I should become a lawyer. And imagine if you take Swami's voice as the voice of conscience, and he's the voice of conscience talking to me, and I'm debating with the conscience. The conscience is telling me, become a lawyer. It is a good thing to become. It's a nice thing to become. And I'm debating with that conscience. No, you don't understand. I'm telling the conscience, you don't understand how difficult it is to become lawyer, how disinteresting it is. But the day I surrendered to Swami and I said, Swami, if you say so, I will do it. The day when I surrendered to Swami and the conscience had a gift to me. And that gift was that my entire desire to become a dramatist was fulfilled at his divine lotus feet. I could, from the day when I surrendered to Bhagwan and agreed to become a lawyer, not only did I surrender to the master within who made me excel as a lawyer, but additionally, he ensured that I could be a part of every drama, every cultural program in Prashant and Nilayam for the last 4 or 5 decades before Swami took Samadhi. So you see, when you surrender, automatically everything else comes. When you surrender to the conscience and let the conscience rule you, your desires, your senses all align. And when they align with the parallax unity, then life is a different ballgame. Imagine you are yearning to get a corpus of 20 crores of rupees. But that 20 crores of corpus which you want to earn. Imagine if that joy of having a corpus of 20 crores comes automatically with the surrender of the master. Because he knows what you deserve and he knows what will make you happy. The first thing he told me in the interview was where he said, Dekho, paise ke piche nahi bhagna. Money is like a shoe. If your size of your foot is 6, you can only wear shoe which is 6. If it is 7, you will fall. If it is 5, it will bite you. Therefore, ensure that ceiling on desires is put in such a way that you have enough for what you want. Don't let your mind run on desires. And it happens. You see, it's a test with all of you. Even look at my sisters. All my sisters who are there just now. Imagine if there is a sale going on in the market and it says 10 salwar kameez is free if you buy 2. What will happen to all of them? The mind will say, oh gosh, this is the best deal. I only buy 2 and I get 10 free. The mind will say, go, buy it. But Swami inside your mind said, no, don't buy it. You already have 10 in your cupboard. You don't need 10 more. Don't even need the 2. Finish your 10 first, then buy the 10. Conscience will tell you that. But the mind will say, buy. What happens? Your peace will be determined from the fact whether you followed your conscience or you followed your desire. Imagine you went and bought 2 salwar kameez and got 10 free, and you come back home and your mother and father scream, "You're crazy, what's wrong with you? There are already 10 in the cupboard." All that joy of buying will be finished. Because so many people will pounce on you and make you regret, "Oh God, why did I buy this?" But imagine you cross the shop and say, "No, nothing doing." The conscience rules the desire and tells the mind, "Shut up. We are not going to buy this 2 and get 10 free." When you cross the shop, you feel, what a good thing. You feel energetic that I followed my conscience. That the Rath of Gita that you see with Krishna sitting in the chariot holding the 5 horses with Arjuna behind. Imagine, this is not a beautiful picture. This is the reality of life. Where God is, if you give the reins of the 5 senses in the hands of God, which is your conscience, then you are Arjuna, the king. But imagine if conscience has to lead the all the lagams of the 5 horses. What will happen with 5 horses going in different directions? What will happen to Arjuna on the Rath? You'll be dawdling, waddling, falling, breaking your leg, and then you'll be crying, "Oh God, what happened?" But the test of self-transformation lies in keeping these reins in the hands of the conscience, which is the Lord Krishna sitting inside us. And that is important. I tell you, I had so many issues with life in terms of desires, in terms of acquisition skills, the desire to acquire things. I don't know how I would have done it if I look back in life. If my journey towards dramatics at the cost of being a lawyer had to continue, God knows what would have happened to me with my company, with my friends, with my people, how would I have fallen flat on my face. But having changed course of surrendering, imagine everything else got fulfilled without effort. When I became a lawyer, Swami promised, he said, "Don't worry, I will send you work. I will do this, I will do this." I said, "Swami, how will you send work?" But you won't believe me. Throughout my journey of life, throughout my entire career as a lawyer, I was not a good student because I never really studied law in college. I studied law after I became a lawyer with the grace of Bhagwan. But everything fell into place, brothers and sisters. Every skill, every knowledge, every hard work of mine gave me results because Swami wanted me to have that. Winning cases against very big lawyers who opposed me. Getting work which a normal lawyer will not get. The kind of quality work, the kind of work which I did, the kind of grace, the reputation which I earned in my profession. I know if I had thought that I am doing that, I would not have reached there. When I surrendered to him, then he saw to it that everything was put in place. This is what I want you to tell all, I will tell all you young guys. It's my personal belief that this avatar of Sathya Sai, if you surrender, all your dreams will be fulfilled. All in one condition is that you have to conquer your mind and pray. That fight, that day-to-day Kurukshetra fight, when the mind tells you something and your conscience is telling you something, this is the practice, this is the key. In fact, as young men and women, all you need to do is to focus on this. For example, you're young, you want to do yoga in the morning. You get up, you want to do meditation in the morning. I mean, your conscience wants you to get up. But your mind tells you, "Oh, go to sleep, never mind, how does it matter? No, do it tomorrow." And the mind has a tremendous capacity to convince you logically. But you have to fight him, you have to get up and punch him on his head and say, "Nothing doing, you follow me." Imagine at 5:15 when the alarm rings, the mind tells you go to sleep and the conscience tells you, "Nimish, get up." What you follow will determine your happiness and peace. Happiness and peace doesn't come from external things. It comes either as a consequence of your following your conscience or you're following your mind. If you get up and go for meditation, see how you feel good. And if you don't, then your mind will tell you, "See, I told you," conscience will tell you, "I told you, you didn't get up, you should have got up. And when you don't follow your conscience and constantly make a habit of following your mind and desires, then one day your conscience just shuts. And when the conscience shuts, you are like a rudderless boat. You are like a completely waywired wayward car which has no brakes, and you could land into great difficulty and great trouble. And this is not something which I need to tell you. You are young enough and experienced enough to know that what can happen to your life if you just let it loose. Get excessively attached to somebody, get excessively desirous of something, get excessively eating food, excessively getting emotional about something, excessively getting stuck on something which somebody has said. These are all pulls of these senses. You need to focus. Kabir used to always say, चलती चक्की बीच में कोई बनाना कोई, दो पाटन के बीच में साबुत बचाना कोई. Though pattern, the grains, if they're moving, no grain of rice everything gets crushed. But those grains that remain in the center where the danda, where the hole is, those will not get crushed. Therefore, centering yourself and remaining focused on the conscience and the path of spirituality will let you enjoy the world. You will enjoy the chakki, but you will not get crushed. That is the beauty of the message of Bhagwan Ji Sathya Sai Baba, or that is the message or the beauty of putting that into practice. And that's where practice becomes very important. Swami then, what great, as any young man or woman, I also wanted to get married to the most beautiful girl, and I did ultimately. And who did it is all because of Swami who got me married. Swami performed, you saw a lovely picture just now, where Swami was performing my wedding. So when you hold hands with God, everything else falls in line. Everything becomes okay. So you have to be like Ganapati. He was told that the brother goes all over the world looking for blessings, and this man knows, if I go around, my parents have done it, finished. So that's the difference. Let the world go all around, brothers and sisters. Let all your peers move around and do, I'm going to study, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You stick to Swami and put into practice. Increase your power within, not your power outside. And respect your form. Be very disciplined. Discipline is very important, which is missing in the youth. In the youth, you have to be strong. You have to work towards the discipline. Keep your body healthy. Keep good company. Always keep good thoughts in your mind. Keep people around you who give you good thoughts. Because thought is the basis of action. Sow a seed of thought, reap a fruit of action. Sow a seed of action, reap a fruit of habit. Sow a seed of habit, reap a fruit of good fortune or bad fortune. Simple formula. Swami has given this lovely thing. The first thought determines. And what thoughts to keep in your mind and what to take out is very important. There was the story of Shirdi Baba and one of the devotees who was pressing Shirdi Baba's feet in the Dwarka mat. And as he was doing the sadhana of praying, pressing Baba's feet, a very beautiful woman passes by the Dwarka mat. So this devotee gets attracted. The eyes attract the devotee towards the beauty of the woman who passed by. And suddenly he realized, oh God, what am I doing? I'm pressing Swami's feet and I'm looking at that woman. He started pressing the feet harder. So Swami, the story goes, Swami gets up and says, why are you pressing my feet so hard? Never mind, let the eyes do their duty of looking at beauty. But you don't keep the thought in your mind. Throw the thought out of the mind. Moment the thought comes, put it out. It is the duty of the eyes to see beauty. It is the duty of the nose to smell. It is the duty of the ears to hear. But after they bring in the impulses into your mind, what to keep and what not to keep is your decision. Swami used to give the lovely story of the Buddhist monks. There were these two monks who were walking past by, and they were going back from one place to another place. And as they come near a river, the river is in full spate. There is floods happening in the river. And they have to cross to go on the other side. And when they're crossing, they see another young lady who was at the bank who also wanted to cross. And there was no way she could cross. So she prays to these bhikshus and prayers and said, Master, Sire, can you help me to go on the other side? My family is waiting for me. I have to go home and cook. Now, you know how the bhikshus or the Buddhist monks are. They're very strict. Their lifestyles are very, very strict and disciplined. So there was a younger bhikshu and the elder bhikshu. So the elder bhikshu, without thinking anything, he just lifts the lady, puts her on the shoulder, and both of them starts going through the water, and they go on the other side. Now, when this happened, the younger bhikshu, who was more aligned to rules and regulations, got very upset. He got very upset. How dare this elder brother of mine break the rules of our thing and put this woman on the head and go? And he was very upset. It's a breach. It's a break of law and all that. You know how in our organization also we get very upset when somebody breaches discipline and the rule is broken. So, but the event happened. They crossed the river. The elder bhikshu put the lady on the floor and said, Mataji, you can go now. And she goes and she profusely thanks him and goes away. And then they walk through their journey continues, and in the night they go and sleep at one place for resting. Now, moment they rest, the elder bhikshu sees that the younger one is so upset, still is agitated. She's asking him, brother, what is wrong with you? What is bothering you? So he was just waiting for this question to be asked. He burst out like a volcano. How dare you break the law? How dare you touch the woman? How dare you put on your shoulder? This, that. It went on. And that event had already happened. 7-8 hours had passed. So the elder one pauses very peacefully and says, brother, I left that woman 8 hours ago. You are still carrying her in your mind. So this is what the mind can do. Getting the mind in your control and throwing the thought out is a great practice that Bhagavan has taught us. And that is what he taught me, and I learned that is divine notice. To forget. I'll tell you a very humorous story before me. And somebody can tell me when I have to stop, okay? I'll tell you a very humorous story. It was my father, who was a very leading lawyer, and after I became a lawyer, Bhagavan called him to Puttaparthi. And he was teaching law in the university. So one of the days, there was not crowd in Puttaparthi, and my father was finished his lecture in the university and came to the ashram and sat on the portico in the mandir. There were hardly a few people around. So Swami came out and Swami picked on my father and said, hey Pandya, kya samachar, kya mangta hai? So my father said, my father didn't want anything. He was a very happy man, everything. So he thought he was a smart chap. He will ask Swami, Swami, moksha mangta hai? So Swami said, very good, Pandya, chalo, interview, moksha deta hai. So he took them in interview, and then my father was a very intelligent man. His memory was fantastic. He could tell you what happened on a Thursday of 1956 very easily. There was no problem. His memory was fantastic. So Swami took him in the interview room, and then Swami told him, Pandya, tumhara naam kya hai? So then this question and answer session started between Swami and my father. And my father's memory was fantastic. So every question that Swami asked, my father would immediately hand over the answer. It's like a tennis match, how the rally and the volley goes between the two players. Like Swami is asking questions, Daddy is answering, Swami is asking. And it went on and on and on and on. And then suddenly, after some 100, 200 question answers, Swami got up from the chair and said, hey Pandya, itna yaad hai to kaisa moksha milega? I mean, if you remember so much, how will you ever get moksha? That was a fantastic lesson that we all learned with Swami. That you need to forget, you don't need to carry baggage in your mind. This guy did this to me, this guy did this. No. And don't confuse this with having good memory. Ensure that you are able to not let thoughts conquer your mind. Mind should be empty. And therefore, Swami's one quotation which changed my life, brothers and sisters, I'd like to share with you. Forget all the good that you have done to others. Very difficult, but you practice. You practice and you will succeed and you'll be so happy. Secondly, forget all the harm that others have done to you immediately. In my life, I don't keep grudges against anybody. Even if he's done the worst thing to me, I always try not to keep a grudge because I want to always remember that there is Swami in that person. And would I keep a grudge against Swami? No, I would not keep a grudge. Because my Swami is omnipresent, he's omniscient, he's omnipotent, he's everywhere. I don't have to see the other person as a person. He's an embodiment of Swami. He's an embodiment of Swami. And therefore, forget all the harm that others have done to you immediately. Forget all the good that you've done to others immediately. Brothers and sisters, if you keep this in mind, every moment, har pal, ये जो अब का moment है, ये हर पल जो है, ये आपकी जिंदगी में एक नई ताजगी लेकर आएगा, कुछ नयापन, कुछ नया और सोचने का, एक नया अनुभव करने का मौका देगा. वरना what happens is that our past is so much on our brain that we miss the present. Or the worry of tomorrow is so much that we miss the beauty of the present. This is not what's wanted. And this is what I learned with Bhagwan, that every moment you should be ready for divine grace. Every moment should be ready with great bliss. And I think this is exactly what we need to do and practice in our day-to-day life. And this is what has changed my life and transformed me as far as a person is concerned. From what I was and to what I am and what I want to be, the ongoing journey at the Divine Lotus Feet. My prayer is that you as young men and women read, study Indian culture, spirituality, but put into practice from today itself. Get up in the morning. Sadhana is important. Good health is important. Good thoughts are important. Good friends are important. Keep away from bad company and spend time in silence. At least 10 to 15 minutes in your day, keep in silence to assess, to audit, to analyze what is happening, and course correction on a day-to-day basis. And forgetting, not keeping anything. You know, one of my greatest weaknesses as a human being was that I used to get very impressed with another person. And this is what Swami taught me. Don't depend upon another person for your happiness, for your joy, for your skill, for your bliss. Depend upon the power within. That will never fail you. An outside person will fail you, will ditch you, will leave you in a lurch. But the master will never leave you in a lurch. It's the promise of our master. This leadership program, brothers and sisters, is not about conquering somebody else. It's not about conquering nature. It's not about conquering a group of people or bossing over a group of people. This is solely about conquering your own self, conquering your mind, master the mind and become a mastermind. This is about that. And I tell you, I promise you, all I can do as an elderly person is to share with you. That's a journey which will be there. Failures will be there. Success will be there. Failures will be there. But keep on trying. Never give up on this practice. One day you will succeed. One day you will find that you have great courage to face life in the face of it. And be ready to leave the world at any point of time. Your balance sheet every moment is balanced. There is nothing outstanding. There is no liability. There is no asset. You are clean on every moment of life. When somebody tells you, Swami says, come on, pack up, let's go. You know, in the world of drama, before I end it, if you imagine a stage, on a stage, brothers and sisters, there are so many characters. There's a story. There's a storyline. Which Bhagwan says, देखो मैंने तुम्हारा सब planning किया है. कुछ बीच में गड़बड़ नहीं करना. Means what? A director is telling you, look, this is your dialogue. You say, you act, and be straight. Don't do anything else. Therefore, the director has given each one of us a role to perform. Let's play our role beautifully, with great confidence, with great flair, with great accomplishment. And the voice of conscience is like that prompting box on the stage. If you forget your dialogue, the prompter will tell you, do this. Be always alert to practice what the master has said. And if you forget, look at the conscience will help you. The prompter will help you. And when the show gets over and the drama is over, we are all equal, isn't it? In the green room and the backstage, we are all friends. You may act a role of a villain. I may act a role of a hero. Somebody acts a heroine. But at the end of the day, when the drama ends and the curtain falls, we are all same and we are all happy. This is the beauty of life, which Bhagwan Baba has taught. Trust him. Pray to him. Prayer is very important. And have faith in prayer. That if it is right for you, it will happen. If it is not, still accept it. Man ka hua to acha, nahi hua to aur bhi acha. Whatever, Swami, let thy will be done. It's very important. His will is important. Therefore, don't build castles in the air of your desires and your ambitions. Do what your conscience tells you. Do whatever you do to the best of your ability. But have the courage to surrender to Swami at the end of it. Keep your best practice, keep your best effort, but have the courage to surrender to Swami, whatever the result may be. It may happen that you work something for 10 years very hard and it doesn't happen. Don't bother, don't worry, just leave it to Swami. Because that's how it was to be. There's the story of that man, the guru, who went and told the student, that there is this big boulder in the middle of the road. I want you to go and push it. So the student, in sheer obedience to the master, went in the middle of the road, and every day he kept on pushing that big boulder in the middle of the road. But the boulder would not shift. So after 10-15 days, people started telling him, "Hey, idiotic person, why are you pushing this boulder? Nothing is moving. Like an idiot, you are pushing this boulder every day. It has not even moved 1 inch. Have you gone mad? What are you doing?" So he really got convinced, because the peers told him that. He started doubting his guru. He went running back to his guru and said, "Sir, Guru, you told me to push, but the stone has not moved even 1 inch and people are laughing at me." So the guru tells him, "Son, I told you to push the boulder. I never said that if you push the boulder will move." And see what has happened. For 2 months you have pushed this boulder. See your physique, see your body, see your muscles. You become a much stronger person than what you were when I told you to push. So push is a very important thing. P-U-S-H. Pray until something happens. Keep on praying until something happens. And decide to be happy every moment of your life. I think with these few words, I pray to Bhagwan that whatever little I knew, I have shared with you. I'm also on a journey like you. But I love this journey. I'm excited about following my conscience. I'm excited about trusting God. And I pray that you have the same excitement about trusting God and living your life happily. Know for reality that you are born to be happy and not sad. Thank you, and thank you very much, Gopi. Thank you very much, sister, for allowing me the opportunity. And a great...
So we will have a Q&A session now. So we have some questions popping up to you.
Sure.
So this is a heart-to-heart with the AIP. So Swati, can you come on board and take the questions, please?
Sure, Uncle. We have Brother Aishwarya moderating the Q&A today. Brother Aishwarya.
Sairam, sir, it's always so great to hear you, and we are so lucky to have this opportunity with you. Thank you so much, sir. I'm sure after such an amazing personal satsang, all the participants have a lot of questions for you. If you permit, sir, we'll now open floor for questions.
So one quick thing. We have not told the participants who the speaker is. We put it under suspense till the audio video was released today. So we said this is a compulsory meeting. All of you have attended. We have full strength here today.
No, I'm so happy. I'm myself so happy with this opportunity, because I've been with all you young guys, 380, 378. It gives me strength. It makes me believe that I'm not 67, I'm still 16.
So we also have all the state youth coordinators and also the back office youth team also.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. Superb. I didn't know that. Okay.
Over to you, Ashwini.
Dear participants, kindly raise your hands and I'll call you accordingly.
You can switch on your video and ask the question. Let it be a short question and only one chance per person, please.
And no follow-up questions, please. Sairam Suhasini, sister, please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Sairam, sir. I'm so happy today. Can you hear, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, Suhasini.
As you were explaining about prayer, and this NLP literally changed me a lot. As I'm near to Swami, I felt, but this time too much closer. And as you were saying that I would pray until aapko result nahi milta. So I got result today, as I saw you today in the screen. So as the session has started since 2 months, hum 3rd month mein aa chuke hain lagbhag. So what is I am saying to Swami, literally I love to listen you more, sir. I say to Swami, Nimish uncle kash bolte to bahut acha hota. I used to say to Swami, but in the second line, bahut zyada ho gaya, Swati, kam karo. But when I saw you today, I'm so happy. Give some positive message to each and every woman at this time, sir. Especially because they are serving their family in this pandemic still. But I want some positivity from your words that literally change a lot, sir. So please give some good message for us, sir.
No, I think in the pandemic times, I think it's a matter of perception. You can consider this pandemic as a great disaster and also consider this as a great opportunity. Opportunity because it has given so much personal time to each one of us. that it's an amazing opportunity to go dive deeper into the system. For example, when I was locked up at home and I didn't go to office, I mean, I enjoyed the joy of writing a Naam Likhit Jap of Om Shri Sairam. Imagine, it's such a simple thing. And people say, "Isme likhne ka kya fayda hai?" But I think when I wrote that, I really enjoyed myself, and I could feel the bliss that, oh wow, I can write one page fully. I can do that. In the morning, my wife and I, even when we were inhaling steam because of COVID issues, we used to do the Ashtotar Namavali. I used to read the Ashtotar Namavali while she's inhaling, and she would sing something while I'm inhaling. And it was utilizing the opportunity as in a positive manner is very important. And I tell you, I made some very lovely friends in this COVID times. One is only 3 years old, the other is only 5 years old. But I got some fantastic friends. Both of them have taught me so much, and even at this age of 67, so I could look at this very positive. And especially for women, all my sisters who are there, I want to tell you that being born as a woman is a great blessing. It's a fantastic blessing because the amount of experience and the capacity to sacrifice and serve, which is vested in you as a woman, is a great bliss of Bhagwan Ji Satsang. And therefore, don't get into a rat race of competition with anybody else. But if you believe and see what Swami has given, you are the greatest teacher. You are the greatest mother. You are the epitome of dispensation of human values and unconditional love. In fact, I tell you as an All India President today, my greatest joy and my greatest pride is the Mahila Vibhag of the entire organization. And I want to tell you that if we've lasted 50 years in the Sathya Sai Seva Organization, it is because of sisters and ladies and mothers who have done fantastic work. And therefore, that self-confidence, that positivity through prayer, through bhajan and through sadhana, you must do. And I want to tell my sisters one thing: don't mortgage your happiness with anybody else. This applies to men also, but more for women, because women, out of their natural love, have this great feeling that you park your joy on the expectation of somebody else. Maybe it's your husband, maybe it's your children, maybe it's somebody else, maybe it's friends. Never mortgage your happiness to them. You decide that my happiness is mine and I will not let anybody spoil my happiness. And therefore, sadhana is a big thing. I think from morning to night, if you set your schedule, all my sisters, if you set your schedule in terms of good health, yoga, good thinking, good reading, prayer. And prayer is a jap and prayer. I think these are masterpieces that Bhagwan has given us. And I think I realized in between there was a phase in my life when I used to say, what is the whole need to do jap? Just follow it, lead your life properly, be happy. But all this be happy, lead your life properly requires the power of jap. It is that practice, it is the net practice. Like how the cricketers do net practice before they go on the field. Jap, dhyan, bhajan, Naam Likhit Jap is all net practice. Because it is this practice that gives you power to face somebody who comes and tells you on your face something which you don't like. Or it gives you strength to face your failure when you wanted something to happen, it didn't happen. That power to remain at balance comes from this net practice that you do. So I think my sincere wish and prayer to all my sisters is that take care of yourself. Be the master of yourself. Don't mortgage your happiness to anybody else. Don't have expectations out of people. Have only one expectation, and that is out of your own self. And that also, with the grace of Bhagwan, you will master the art and be very well. And I tell you, women, sisters, if you are happy, the world will be happy. If you are unhappy, the world will be unhappy. Therefore, you have an extra responsibility to be happy all the time and take care of yourself. And being with Swami will guarantee. Swami used to always keep women and men separately. And there used to be many women who asked me, what is this discipline? Why men and women can't mix? No, women are precious. Swami wanted men to learn how to respect women. And how you talk to them, what you do to them is something that men have to learn. And the Sathya Sai organization is setting that in motion. So every young girl, whether you are a daughter, whether you are a wife, whether you are a mother, whatever it is, remember all these are roles. But ultimately, your happiness is the contributory factor to the whole world. If you are happy, the world is happy. Tell me how you treat your women and I'll tell you what your culture is. is the famous adage that Swami always wanted to use.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for this positivity. Thank you.
Brother Avinash, please unmute yourself and ask the question.
We want them also to come on camera here. Let them come on camera.
Sir, we can't come on camera. Because of some settings.
Sairam. Yes. Can I proceed, brother?
Yeah, brother.
Yeah. Sairam, I offer my sincere thanks to Nimish Pandya, sir. And I would like to thank NLP for this blissful session. Sir, there is a small question like, I'm sure you would have encountered many people questioning Swami and his divinity. Of course, I have met people in my around people though who are questioning Swami about his divinity and all. So, how do you respond or how do you react to these people? So yes, Sairam, thanks.
What was your name, sir? What name is it?
Sai Avinash.
Sai Avinash. Okay, Avinash.
Yeah.
As I told you, we need to follow Bhagwan's message and what he has said. Bhagwan has very clearly said that I have not taken avatar here to change the whole world. I have taken avatar to see that I help you to transform yourself. Now, the question is, the chachundar or the little rat can't be saving the elephant. Okay. The point is, God does not need any help from us. We need help from God. Therefore, to become a messenger or a agent for Bhagwan, that I am going to take care of Bhagwan's name, is something which is a misnomer. It's not to be understood that way. Bhagwan used to always tell me, "Tum tumhara chinta karo, mera chinta nahi karo, main khud apna kaam sambhalega. I will take care of myself. You take care of yourself." That's more important. Therefore, getting into this mode, you see, there is one problem also. Even in our organization, and many of you, I've heard many of you say so, I am doing Swami's work. Nobody wants, Swami never wanted anybody to do his work. He can do his work very well. He's running the entire cosmos. He's running everything. For him to shut one person up is one easy. You see, the very breath of life. Today, if you and I are alive, it is because we breathe. Swami is inside. If Swami decides not to breathe, what will happen to you and me? Nothing. The world will remain as it is, but you and I will vanish from here. That's it. Therefore, there is a misnomer that we have to take care of Bhagwan's reputation. We are nobody to take care of Bhagwan's reputation. On the contrary, Bhagwan has said that I want you to follow my message in such a way that your inspiration will convince the world who I am. My life is my message, as we say. But Swami wants that Niranjan and Nimish Pandya should live his life in such a way that whoever comes in contact with Nimish Pandya has no option but to be in awe of Bhagwan's Sathya. And that's what happened. When I left my friends in the year 1974-75, they all thought that I was gone mad. मैं किसी साधु के वहाँ पागल हो गया हूँ, किसी बाबा के पास में पागल हो गया हूँ. But I tell you, when I was with my group of friends, I was the underdog. When I left them and joined Bhagwan, each of those friends today respect me as if I am something special. I am the same person. All I decided was to join God instead of join them. And today, each of them, some of them are very big celebrities, but they respect me and respect Swami because of me. You see, you will spoil Swami's name if you don't practice what Swami is telling you to practice and you still claim to be a Sai Baba devotee. It is the student who sings the glory of the master. And therefore, never get bothered. I never bothered. Nobody wanted to believe Swami. And in fact, I was a part of so much litigation that happened against Bhagwan when people in the US, people started throwing stones at Bhagwan and calling Bhagwan names and everything. Bhagwan used to say, "You don't worry, tum shant raho, main sab sambhalta hai." He is the, see, he is the boss, he is the master. And when he says, "I am taking so much nonsense," you see, even recently, I'll tell you, even I as the All India President, today in the social media, there are people who troll me left, right and center. But my answer is very simple. I don't answer at all. Finish. That's all. Period. Silence. In between, let me tell you a personal example. In between, somebody was trolling me very badly. And I was in very bad shape. And I was desperately trying to keep my calm and I was failing. And I was praying to Swami, "Swami, please help me, help me, help me." You know what happened? In my office, A unknown man brought a beautiful picture of Swami and it had a quotation. Forget everything, stay by my side and keep quiet. I will take care of everything else. And within 6 days of that picture coming, I was at peace and the whole problem had gone. This is the power of Swami. Therefore, to people who have a similar questions like you, my answer is that you don't take upon the responsibility of taking care of Swami's name and fame. That Swami will take care. You whether about what you are doing is in accordance with Swami or not. And if you do that, it will be done. Jyot se jyot jagate chalo, prem ki ganga bahate. Swami only wanted that you should become a reflection of his divinity. The day you become his reflection of divinity, make a self-assessment. There must be something. If somebody comes and tells me wrong about Swami, the first reaction I would have is that, look, there is something wrong which I have done, which I have not inspired this man. Therefore, let's correct ourselves more, make ourselves large. Always draw a larger line. Never get into combat. This tug of war, you should see, tug of war requires two people. If I leave the rope, you can't have tug of war with me. You need two people to tug. No, if one drops the rope, there is no tug of war. Therefore, don't get into this. Always draw a larger line. And see, today, 10 years after Bhagwan has left, the world is at his divine lotus feet. The world is talking. You go to any government office. Yesterday, I was in a meeting with my state president of Sikkim. The entire Sikkim government is in awe of the Sathya Sai Seva Organization because all our devotees in Sikkim are working selflessly, are doing so much seva in Sikkim that the government agencies have come on their feet. Baba, nobody can work like that. Imagine the name of Swami. Not because they were trying to defend Swami. They were trying to do their duty, as what Swami said. And the collective duty of all the devotees brought this grace and this respect for the organization in the eyes of the government of Sikkim. That's the whole story. Let's do our job. Let's not worry. Don't say you're doing Swami's work. You're doing your own work. Swami is only giving you an opportunity. The doer is Bhagwan. The doer is not you and I. And therefore, he creates a confusion. He will see, if he wants to confuse you, he will come in front of you in such a way as if he's making a mistake. But actually not making, he's only testing you. That's it. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, thank you, Sairam. That was very helpful. Sairam.
Sairam, Sister Shweta. And now we can also unmute our cameras.
Sairam sir, it's very great honor to listen to you. I would like to thank NLP for this opportunity. My question is, how to differentiate mind's command and conscious command?
Yes, very good question.
Thank you.
This Shweta is a long journey of practice. Okay, the test which Swami has given, that when you follow your conscience, the net result is peace, because love as thought is truth, love as action is dharma, and love as a feeling is peace. What Baba told me, and I remember very clearly in a group of teachers whom we met, Baba in the Mandir, that the human values come that when you follow your conscience, it is truth. When you put conscience into action, it is dharma. And when you form the habit of this sequence coming all the time, you will experience peace. Therefore, the test is that a particular action is based on conscience or thought. The resultant feeling should be peace. Let me give you an example. Suppose my brother comes home and he says that, Bhai, I need 10,000 rupees. I'm in deep trouble. And therefore, so my conscience tells me, my brother, I want to give. So I put my hand in my pocket and I immediately try to take out 10,000 rupees and try to give it. Two things will happen at this point of time. Suddenly a voice comes from behind. Aji, sunte ho kya? My wife, you know who it is. My wife will say, wait, come inside. Let's have a talk. So since I'm a dramatist, I'll give you a two scene situation. My wife tells me, and rightfully so, she's intelligently telling me that, look, if your brother is not earning, if you give him money, he'll form a habit, and every time he'll keep on coming and asking you, and every time you'll give, and this will happen. Therefore, please tell him not. He has to go and work, and let him work and earn the money. Don't give him 10,000. Now it appeals to me, the intelligent part of my wife's argument appeals to me. Scene 1, I come out and tell my brother, sir, sorry, I think you should work, don't do this, I can help you, but I don't want to just now because it's spoil your habit. And I don't give it to him when he goes home. Scene 1. What happens in scene 1 in the night when I sleep? What happens to me is something which I'll tell you. Scene 2. My wife tells me don't give. She convinces me, but still I come back and I give it because my conscience tells me. In both the scenes, what will happen to me in the night? Just see. In the night, if I have listened to my wife and not given the money to him, my wife will be sleeping very peacefully, but I'll be tossing in my bed because my conscience will not let me sleep and say, you should have given it, you should have given it, you should have. Scene 2. I gave it despite my wife saying, don't give it. What will happen? My wife will be shouting all the time on the bed, but I will be snoring in 2 minutes and I'll go to sleep. Resultant action must come peace. This is the test. But this requires practice. And this practice comes from constant meditation. Meditation is a very important tool to learn the differentiation between the voice of the conscience and the mind. It's very important. And the third practice which is required is to pause. Swami used to say 3H. When the head says something and the hand wants to act, pause for a moment. Don't do it. Normally we immediately do it. If the mind says, I don't like this, I want to slap him, I go and slap him. Or if you are eating something, there is a rasgulla on the table and there is 4 rasgullas, the mind says, eat all 4. Moment the mind says, eat, the hand will go and pick it up and put it in the mouth. But in all such situations, moment the mind says, I want to slap him, pause. That pause will determine the conscience taking over your thought process. Even in the rasgulla story, moment you pause, the conscience will tell you, Nimish, don't eat, you've eaten 2 already, don't need to eat 4. When you pause, that 3HV, the values of the head, heart and hand. Moment the head wants to act, the hand should not act and wait for the heart to pause. This is a matter of practice, sister, and this must come with, and you are very lucky, you're very young, you should start right now and it will automatically come. It will automatically come from that purpose. It's like driving the car. Let me give you another simple example. When you learn to drive the car, you have a challenge. You don't know whether to press the clutch or to change the gear or to put your foot on the thing, and you're totally confused. But once you practice and you learn, then you are so normal that even while you're talking to your co-passenger, you are still changing the gear, you are still doing everything, it becomes automatic. That is the trick, practice. Therefore, Swami used to say, human values is nothing but practice, practice and practice.
Samastha Lokah Sukhino Bhavanthu. Samastha Lokah Sukhino Bhavanthu. Samastha Lokah Sukhino Bhavantu. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba